Okay, let's get started. Today you're here to learn, how to buy or sell a home in Florida without a realtor and how to do that, and I'm going to give you all the answers here. But just, to let you know, I am a licensed Florida broker. My name is Dustin Tebow, and I am the founder of HOYO. So thanks for joining today. We do appreciate it. And let's people in. Thank you for joining. Welcome in, welcome in. Yeah, thanks for joining today. We are excited to show you a simpler, smarter way to transact in your real estate. So whether you're a buyer or seller, this is for you if you're here to learn how to do this without a real estate agent. Um, so most likely, the reason you're here is just because you're tired of paying a bunch of money in realtor fees, or you don't want to pay a bunch of money in realtor fees. So, on a $400,000 home, that's approximately $24,000 gone just for a middleman who basically just is playing messenger. They take the information you provide them and give it to the other agent involved or possibly to the seller if they're representing both sides. And in reality, they're not necessary, these middlemen, right? It's a pretty cut and dry system, and all the things you need are available here on hoyonow.com. And so there's a better way to do this, and we'll show you how that works in just a minute. So, if you're selling a home and you want to keep more of your money in your pocket, keep more equity in your pocket, this is for you. If you're buying a home and you want to not have the headache of dealing with an agent, going out there and meeting somebody you've never met before and having that awkward situation where you have to figure out if you can trust them or not. And if you want to keep some extra money at closing as well, because we do have a cash back offer program, this is also for you. So if you are ready to take control of your real estate journey, this is also for you. Welcome in, everybody. So today's goal by the end of this, session, you'll learn how to skip the 6% realtor commissions. You will stay in control of your sale or your purchase, and you'll close confidently with licensed support from HOYO. A little bit about me, real quick, just before we get into this whole thing. My name is Dustin. Again, I am a licensed Florida broker, and I am the founder of HOYO. It took me a decade almost to see, not really a decade, but over a decade, I saw how, the traditional real estate transaction was really not in the buyer's or seller's best interest in their favor. Really was more beneficial to be the agent than the buyer or seller. And I also saw how these outdated systems made it way harder than it needed to be. And I decided to come up with this streamlined version of transacting. So, one big problem is the 6% problem, right? Typically, realtors will charge somewhere between six, maybe 5, 6, 7%. And on a $400,000 home, you're talking about $24,000. And I can think of a lot of things I do with an extra $24,000. But that goes straight to the agents. And that's a huge chunk of money for a lot of people, especially on a $400,000 home. This isn't like $1 million home or $10 million home. And even on those, you can imagine what the commission would be on those. So, one of the reasons we built this system is because it does feel unfair as a buyer or seller. And sellers, you're prepping the home. You're getting the lawn looking good, your curb appeal looking nice. You're maybe painting the house inside, maybe decluttering, and that's a lot of work. It's a lot of prep work. Maybe you're having repairs made, and you're putting a lot of money into getting your house ready for listing. The agent doesn't do that stuff. They might point you in the right direction, but they're not doing it. Another thing that sellers do is negotiate, and you're thinking, well, that's what we hire you for. Well, sure, we do. This is what agents do. They do negotiate, but they can't negotiate without your permission. They're not just going to negotiate and agree to a number that you're not comfortable with. So technically, you're the one giving your bottom line to the agent, and they're negotiating with that number in mind. But there's not, I'll tell you right now, there's not a lot of agents who are skilled in negotiating. So, finding one that truly can negotiate on your behalf and save you money is a little harder than it may seem. Again, showings, you do have to be, you don't necessarily have to be there for showings, but you certainly have to get the house prepared. You have to make time out of your day to make sure that the house is prepared. Maybe you have pets and you have to make sure that they are removed from the home or whatever. There's all kinds of reasons that showings would take time out of your day. And so you're doing a lot of this work and you're still paying an agent to sell your house. Really what you're paying an agent to do is listed on the MLS. Really, I mean, truly, that's kind of what you're doing. And dealing with the phone calls and the text messages, emails regarding your home. But to be fair, that's pretty easy stuff. Buyers, it feels unfair to you because you're the one looking for the listings. You're the one finding your next dream home. And yeah, sure, agents can send you, listings from the MLS, auto alerts, and all that fun stuff. But oftentimes you're going to end up finding it on Zillow. You are also the one who has to go look at the house. The agents join you there, but you're the one that knows what you're looking for and, needs to see the home. And then, of course, knowing the neighborhood, right? And I get a lot of when I was selling real estate the traditional way, a lot of buyers would ask, well, what's this neighborhood like? Is it good? Is it a bad neighborhood? And we can't answer that question. And so it's really up to you as a buyer to drive around and kind of get a feel for the neighborhood. Go through there in the morning, go through there at night, go through during rush hour traffic, ask around, talk to the neighbors. So you're doing a lot of the legwork. And yet, you're still, just so you know, buyers are technically responsible for their agent's commission right now. That's what a buyer broker agreement is. If you haven't bought a house in the last year or so, you're going to realize, wait a minute, something's changed. Now I'm signing an agreement just to buy a house. That agreement does state that you are responsible for the buyer's agent's commission. Now, typically the seller will pay that, and that's a whole nother conversation. But the point is you are still required, and you're still liable for it. So, all this work that you're doing, and yet you guys are still paying an agent again for what? So there's also other common frustrations like hidden fees that show up at the end. Transaction fees is a big one. They are disclosed they should be disclosed. I'm not going to say they are, but they should be disclosed prior to going under contract. Sometimes they're not. And even if they are, they're in the fine print somewhere. If your agent isn't upfront and forthcoming with this information, you may not realize it till the end. And that could be an extra $500, 300, 1,000, just depends on what the agent's wanting to charge for their transaction fee. Sometimes a brokerage has a transaction fee as well, and the agents pass it on to their buyers or sellers. Little control over the pricing or timing. We've, as agents, have lives too. And so when you ask us to change the pricing or you ask us to, we're trying to set up an appointment or, we're going through contracts, well, you kind of have to rely on your agent to make time for that. Whereas on our platform, you don't have to rely on anybody to do anything. You do it all for yourselves at as quickly paced as you want. And some things do have a time countdown. So on our platform, you do have to respond within a certain time frame, but it's totally up to you. You're the one in control. And of course, the slow, outdated processes that waste time. For instance, you have a question for me, or you have a question for the seller. You ask me, I ask the listing agent, and then the listing agent asks the seller, and then the seller responds to the listing agent. Listing agent gets back to me, and I get back to you. It's ridiculous. Where on our platform, it's communication between buyer and seller. You're getting information directly from the sources. So with HOYOnow.com, which HOYO is short or an acronym for a home on your own. And so with HOYO, we do charge a 2.5% commission. And, basically it's less than half of what you would pay if you went the traditional route on average. You may think to yourself, well, I can just go for sale by owner. I don't have to pay anybody. Well, good luck. If you've ever sold a house for sale by owner, you do know that the vast majority of the time, way vast majority, like I don't know what the percentage is, but it's got to be in the 90s percentage. Um, it's likely that you're going to pay a buyer's agent to bring a buyer because, again, even though buyers are technically responsible for their agent's commission, most times sellers pay for it. So technically, it's free for a buyer to have an agent. I won't say technically, but oftentimes it's free for a buyer to have an agent. So they hire them. And so when you go for sale by owner, you still have to pay somebody to bring that buyer. And it's typically going to be probably around 3%. So using our platform is even less expensive than that. And also, as a for sale by owner, sometimes you go to these, pay to get on the MLS brokerages. So you're going to pay something up front just to get your house listed that may never sell. On our platform, there's no upfront payments. You list your home for free. If you don't sell it, you don't owe anything to the platform. And if you do sell it, it's just a flat 2.5% commission. There's no additional transaction fees. There's no other hidden fees or anything like that. So on a $400,000 home, a 6% commission is $24,000. And then with HOYO to compare, that's $14,000 more in your pocket. Okay. So it's $14,000 less that you have to pay to sell your home. So you're keeping that extra $14,000. I can think of a lot of things I do with $14,000. Nice family vacation, maybe down payment on a car, or maybe just buying a car outright. There's all kinds of things. What would you do? Type in the chat. What would you do with $14,000? I'm just curious. You know, I like to see what people say, what they do with that. I get some funny answers sometimes, but it's also really cool just to see all the different, things people have in mind with their money, doing with their money. Some people invest. Some people just blow it on fun stuff or whatever. Whatever. It's totally up to you. But I'd like to see in the chat. So as you see, the slide says there has to be a better way, and there is one. It's home on your own. It's the HOYO platform, and I'm going to show you what that looks like. So let's go show you what that looks like. Okay, so when you go to hoyonow.com, this is the landing page, and there's all kinds of information here. Some of our trusted partners. You can do a little calculator here that shows you, if you sell your house at this price, over here rather, then this is what you would pay to HOYO. And then if you were buying a house, this is the money you could get back. Okay. We have an up to 1% cash back program. And I'll explain a little bit more about that in just a moment. But you can scroll down, you can see our podcast, you can sign up for another webinar if you want, see our FAQs. And if you are looking to purchase a home, when you land on the site, what you'll see is this right here. And you just click this little Find My Next Home button. And by the way, signing up, creating an account is free. Don't hesitate to sign up. Totally free. We're just going to ask you for your name, email, and phone number, just like any other website you sign up for. And this allows you to have a dashboard so that you can, update your budget. Maybe you want to show that you have enough cash to purchase a home, or maybe you have a pre-approval that you want to upload into the system to show and show that you're capable of purchasing a home, because you do have to have those things to make an offer. You can't just make offers willy-nilly without any proof that you can purchase a home. And that's how it is even in the traditional real estate, world. No one's going to accept an offer if there's no money backing it. No seller's going to say, yeah, sure, you can buy my home, and I hope you have the money when the time comes, right? So you have to show proof that you have it. And so to make an offer, you have to have gone through that process of either uploading a pre-approval, getting pre-approved by one of our trusted partners, getting pre-approved by one of your own lenders, or showing proof of funds, which would be like a bank statement or 401k statement or whatever, wherever you have the money, as long as it's not under your mattress. If you have a statement showing that you have that money, you can upload that, and that would be your proof of funds. So here, if you're looking for a home, on the search bar, you would just type in the city you're looking in. And we're going to show you Orlando, Florida, what that looks like right now. And this is going to feel very familiar. It's going to show, all the homes listed in Central Florida right now. You can search by filter. If, let's say, you're looking for a maximum of $500,000 home and you're looking for 3 bedroom, 2 bathroom, and let's just say you're looking for only single family homes and you want a 2-car garage. Okay, so you click search and you'll see that that search criteria now populates these spots. So let's just click on Toro Court, for example. And so scrolling down here, you'll see again, very familiar. This is just like any other home search. You click on the pictures and you can scroll through them to see them better. There are 3 green bars on, near the top of the page, and one of them says request disclosures. And these are going to be things like seller's disclosure, HOA. It's going to be flood disclosure, possibly, some other maybe lead-based paint, radon gas. I mean, there's all kinds of disclosures, but this is where you're going to request them. Now, sometimes the disclosures will be here for you to just view. You don't have to request them because they're already available. Other times we have to request them. So you just click that button. If you're already logged in, it will send a request and they will be in your inbox fairly shortly, usually within 24 hours maximum. But you can read the property description, see property details, go down here and see even more property details. And of course, we're going to show you the taxes and what tax year that's from. And this will be updated probably pretty soon. Over the next couple months, you'll start seeing 2025's tax information. And then, of course, there's homeowner association. If there is one, it'll show their, the fees and the frequency it's paid. So then moving on to the next step would probably be, and by the way, you don't have to follow these in any order. If you want to make an offer without seeing disclosures, you can, because you're still going to get the disclosures. But maybe you want to see them before you make an offer. Maybe you want to know how old the roof is before you go see the house. Maybe it's not worth it to you to go see a house that's designated a flood zone. So you're going to save the money seeing the house and you're going to save your time making an offer, right? I mean, that's a natural flow of things, and that's what makes most sense. But you can certainly skip all that. I've had many buyers over the years and sellers over the years that skip steps because they're experienced or because they've done their research themselves. There's all kinds of reasons. But normally the next step would be to see a home. And so if you want to schedule a tour, you can do it right here. And there'll be a little pop-up here that tells you a little bit about how our scheduling works. And basically, you do pay for a showing on our platform, but we reimburse you for showing up to, we reimburse your showing fees up to $500. So let's say you go and see 10 homes and you are a verified buyer and you've paid $350 total over the course of seeing those 10 homes. Well, you've gone under contract on any property. It doesn't even have to be one you've seen, by the way, but any property through our platform and you close on it, we'll give you that $350 back at closing on top of the up to 1% that we give in cash back. Okay. So they do stack. It's not like that's you take one out of the other. This is probably the biggest culture shock, I would say, for people. Traditionally, you don't have to pay to go see a home. But with our platform, it's a little bit different, right? This isn't the traditional real estate journey, but this is the only thing that you'd have to pay for up front. But again, we do reimburse up to $500 back. Now, look, if you're going to see more than 10 homes in your search, you should probably, I highly recommend that you narrow down your search a little bit better and really only go look at homes that truly could be a fit for you. Typically, if you're pretty observant and you have somewhat of a decisive personality, even just somewhat. Now, I'm not talking like you have to be one of those people that can make a yes or no decision all the time, but having somewhat of a decisive personality, you can really save your money, all of it. Like, you can get all that money back. You don't have to pay anything in the end to see homes. But if you're very undecisive or indecisive and you're, just want to see like 20, 30 homes, well, we'll still give you up to $500 back. But whatever excess you spent, you won't get that back at closing. Now, you can also take into consideration the up to 1% you're going to get back and, say, look, yeah, I'm getting that 500 back. I've spent an extra 500, but they're giving me $2,500 at closing. So you can, if you want, you can kind of look at it that way too. But we like to at least make you feel a little bit better about spending money to go see homes by offering up to $500 back on top of the 1%. So anyhow, you click here that you understand, yes, schedule, and then you move on to a date and time. Whatever works good for you, you go ahead and select it. You select the purpose of your visit, whether you're going to be there in person or if it's going to be a virtual showing. So sometimes you can't make it. Maybe you live out of state or out of town, or maybe it's just not a good time for you to go see the home, but there's really no good time for you to see the home. Maybe you work so much that there's just no good time. Well, you can click virtual showing and an agent will be there to video chat with you. Okay, so there's still agents involved in this process. They're just not your agent and they don't answer to you and you don't answer to them. Okay, so it's very much there as like a they're just going to be there as a door opener basically, or a videographer, right? So they're just going to walk around and show you the house through video, or they're going to open the door and let you walk in, do your thing, leave, and then they just make sure it's locked up, if that makes sense. Okay. So you click the day, the time. There's a from and to, right? So look, I want to be there at 10:30, and I'll probably stay there till 11. There's a lot of we give you a lot of I guess leeway here. I can tell you right now that if you select more than an hour's time frame, it's probably going to be declined. So don't get crazy and be like, "Well, I want to be there for 3 hours." Well, it's not gonna fly. That's crazy. I will tell you right now, if it's just a regular 3 bedroom, 2 bath, I would say regular, but just like an average size home of maybe 2,000 to 2,500 square feet, 3 bedroom, 2 bath, you're probably not going to spend more than 20 to 30 minutes max in there, unless you really, really, really love the home. Some people just love to sit in a home that they like when they first walk in, they love it and they just stay. Maybe for an extra 15 minutes, 30 to 45 minutes. If it's a bigger home, up to maybe 6,000 square feet or so, you might spend 30 to 40 minutes in there. Anything bigger than that, yeah, it's probably going to take you 45 minutes to an hour. But my point is you don't want to over schedule your time because if you're lining up homes to see in a row, you may think, well, I probably need 45 minutes to look at this house. And it ends up being that you hate it right away and you only spend 5 minutes there. Well, now you have a 40-minute gap between now and the next showing, which you can't show up early to. So you want to schedule them. I tell you right now, best practice is schedule them about 15 minutes for showings. That way, if you're a little short on one and a little long on the other, it'll kind of average itself out. I wouldn't schedule more than 5 at a time. That's always been my, go-to. So then you click schedule, and what'll happen is, oops, look at that. It even doesn't let you schedule for more than 60 minutes. So I guess we don't give you all that leeway. Sometimes my developers put stuff in here and I forget about it. Okay, so once you've scheduled a showing, it'll bring you to the checkout page. You can continue scheduling if you want just to add them, stack them here, and then check out all at once. This does bring you to Stripe. Okay, so this is not on our platform. We don't take your credit card information. This is Stripe. So when you pay for these, it basically pre-authorizes the card. We don't actually charge you until it's been accepted by the seller and everything is good to go. Okay. We also will fully reimburse you if you cancel within an hour of the appointment. Okay. So if something comes up last minute and you cancel within that hour, you get all your money back. If you cancel, within that hour, unfortunately, you're not going to get your money back. Too many moving parts have already happened at that point to go there. So you can also trash a property if you've scheduled it. You're like, oh, I really don't want to see that one. I'm going to get rid of that one. You can also trash it. Okay, so back to a listing here. You've seen the home, you've seen the disclosures, you're ready to make an offer. You click the make an offer button, and right here, purchase price. You can offer whatever you want. It could be 400, you know, $50,000. It can be $500,000, totally up to you. If you're unsure of what the home is worth, you can click here for a free home valuation. By the way, there is a little button here, little bar that you can click, and we will send you a free home valuation just so you kind of know what it's worth. But here's the good news, guys. Unless you're paying cash, if you're financing, a bank's not going to let you pay more for a house than it's worth to them. So even if you offered them $1 million, if you're financing, the bank's going to say, well, that's great. I'm glad you're willing to offer $1 million, but it's our money. So we have decided that it's only worth 490,000. So that seller's going to have to drop their price or this deal isn't going to happen. Okay. And usually for the most part, the sellers say, okay, you know, it makes sense that it's worth this much. A professional appraiser came out and said it's worth that much. So I'll drop it. And that way you guys can come to an agreement. And all that is easily done on our platform, by the way. So if that situation ever arises, it's all covered here. Okay, there's so many layers to this platform that I'm not even going to get into right now, just to trying to show you like the overall picture. But for all of you guys that sign up on the website, if you guys sign up today, I'll do a one-on-one with you. I'll show you everything you want to see on this platform. I'll show you step by step what to do if you have any questions. Otherwise, you guys can just get in here and start playing with it. I mean, it's like I said, sign up's free. Just go ahead and get on there, and see if you're looking to purchase a home, get on there and make some offers. If you're looking to sell a home, go ahead and list your home with us. We'll reach out to you before it goes live on the market to make sure everything's good and ready to go. We'll talk about that in just a sec. But as a buyer, let's say you want to offer 400 and maybe $470,000. This house is listed for 489. And by the way, if you're unsure of what to put in these fields, there's little information bubbles, little green information bubbles. And when you hover your mouse over them, an explanation basically comes up and it tells you what a deposit is. A deposit is, and how much a deposit is. So a deposit is typically 1 to 3% of the purchase price. And customarily, the deposit is applied to closing costs when the closing occurs. Okay, so purchase price is 470,000. Easy math says that 1% of that is 4,700. And you can round up. I mean, you don't have to do exactly 1%. You can round down. You can put whatever number you want in here, honestly. It's totally up to you. That's the beauty of this platform is it puts you in control. You can do whatever you want. We're just giving you best practices and some, I would say expert advice on what the norms are for these fields. In my situation, I'm paying cash, so my purchase method is cash. But let's say I was taking a loan. Well, then a couple of other bars pop up, and you just have to make sure you click the right loan type that you're pre-approved for, which may already be selected for you. Oftentimes people are only approved for one loan type, but every once in a while you may be approved for FHA and conventional, or maybe VA and FHA or whatever, right? But usually you're just pre-approved for one loan type, and in that case, it'll be selected for you. Down payment amount, if you know what your down payment amount is going to be, you do the math and you throw it in there as a dollar amount. Let's say your down payment is 10%. Well, you'd put $47,000 in this field. And by the way, if it's 20% and you put something lower than 20%, it'll stop you and it'll say, hey, look, you better re-advise or revisit this field. It's not correct. Okay. But again, I'm cash, so I'm going to get rid of those two extra fields and move on to closing date. This little information bubble says that the average closing periods for cash purchases is 15 to 30 days. I've closed in as little as 12 days. But sometimes you just want it to kind of work out with your schedule. So 15 to 30 days is pretty normal. Anything with a loan is going to be minimum 25 days if your lender is real good. VA typically takes a little bit longer because we're waiting on the VA to get back um, and get you approved. So that can usually take at least 30 days minimum. So you select your closing date, whatever's best for you. By the way, I always recommend a Tuesday, Wednesday, or Thursday. They tend to be the best days to close in case of any delays. You're not waiting a full weekend, like say you selected Friday to close. If there's a delay, you may have to wait an entire weekend just to get back to the closing table. But if you're scheduled to close on a Tuesday and you have a delay, well, it's easy to close on a Wednesday or Thursday and have that weekend to move or whatever, right? It's already scheduled 30 days out, by the way, just by default. So if you just want to keep it where it's at, you certainly don't have to even touch it. So inspection period, we'll talk about inspection period real quick. I just want to kind of explain what that is. Some people don't understand or know because they've never bought a home, and that's perfectly fine. So inspection period is a time frame that allows you to have inspections done on the home, but it also allows you to back out of the contract at your sole discretion with no penalties. It's just like a, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Seller, I've decided I don't want to buy this house anymore for whatever reason. It doesn't even have to be that you had an inspection done. It could just be that you woke up that day and you weren't feeling well and you decided that that's because of the house you're buying. I don't want it. If you back out during that inspection period, you retain your deposit. You get your deposit back. There's no questions asked. It's written in the contract. Now, if you wait till after the inspection period and you want to back out for no reason at all, if there's no one else's defaulted on the contract, well, you could probably back out and not show up to closing, but you're likely going to lose your deposit. So this time frame is really important. It also gives you an opportunity to renegotiate once the inspection results have returned. Say the inspection shows that the roof is in worse shape than it looks, or maybe the electrical panel has some issues and now insurance doesn't want to cover unless they're fixed. It gives you time to negotiate those repairs, negotiate, maybe more concessions at closing so you can have it repaired after you buy it, stuff like that. And again, we have that in our platform, all automated, or not automated, but all available for you to use through the system. It's fantastic. And that's another thing that I'd have to show you on a one-on-one because it's just a much deeper layer than what we're looking at right here. So inspection period is an average of 7 to 15 days. I'd usually do 7 days, more than enough with our trusted partners. Our trusted partners are fantastic. Our lenders are amazing. Our inspectors are just the best. So typically they can get out there within just a couple days, and that gives you plenty of time to review the contract. I'm sorry, the inspection report, and to renegotiate the terms of the contract. So then we have this box called items excluded. Obviously, these are items you don't want to stay with the home. And there's a whole list of items that do stay with the home that you can see on the contract here shortly. But basically, it's anything attached or anything connected to electrical, hardwired in. Like, for instance, a hot tub. I always use hot tub as an example because, I'm sure you've seen it. You go to a house and it's great, and the hot tub's broken down, and it's just literally a big old waste of space on a patio or wherever. So here's where you would write, like, I don't want that hot tub. And then additional terms is where you're going to ask for maybe concessions. Maybe you need 3% cash back towards closing costs from the seller. Or maybe maybe you just know that roof is bad and it does need to be replaced prior to closing. Stuff like that would go here. And you can write it however you want. So maybe you say seller, replace roof, right? Just something very basic and simple, replace roof. And then, of course, if there's any additional buyers, my wife would be an additional buyer. So now we've gotten to the part where you're going to select a couple of the vendors. Now you don't have to use our trusted partners. You can use your own. I will say that usually 99% of the time, I would say, sellers are the ones that choose the title company. And that's because they pay for the owner's title policy, which can be a couple $1,000s. So if you choose the title company as a buyer, because we're talking about buyers right now, if you're a buyer and you choose the title company, now you're responsible for the owner's title policy. You're going to pay for that. So it's usually best just to use the seller's title company. They all do the same thing for the most part. And typically they're going to have selected one of these anyway. So there's really no point in changing it. Now, if you're just, maybe you own a title company, or your best friend or whatever family member owns one, or you just know someone that works at one, and you're kind of loyal to them, you can certainly choose your own. There's nothing stopping you. For the purpose of this um, demo, I'm going to choose mock. And obviously, you guys wouldn't see this. It's just something I have for these demos. Insurances, you can choose more than one. I would highly recommend you get more than even two quotes for home insurance. Again, you can choose your own if you want. All of these are options here. So with title company, you can just choose one. Insurance, you can choose multiple. And then your inspection company, of course, you're going to just choose one. So if you're unsure of who to use and you kind of want to get some more information about these people, first of all, you can Google them if you want, but you can also just click on their name. And here's a little about us, what service, what counties they service, which if they're showing up here, they service the county that the property is located in. We have that set up where it only shows vendors in that serviceable area. And then you have a contact form here. If you wanted to reach out to them, you can read some of their reviews and stuff like that. So that's a good way to kind of get to know the vendor you're getting ready to choose for the work that needs to be done. So as an inspector, I'm going to go ahead and choose mock inspection company. And then home warranty, guys. If you're buying an older home with older appliances and you're using a lot of your funds to buy this home, you don't really have much for reserves left. When you buy this home and close, maybe you only have a couple grand saved up, left saved up. And you're kind of like, man, I hope nothing breaks because I don't think I can afford it. I have to save up again. A home warranty is a good way to protect your bank account from being, depleted because an air conditioning system failed a month after you bought the house. And by the way, that happens, right? The inspector can only tell you the age of the unit. They can tell you the cleanliness or dirtiness, but they can't tell you when it's going to fail. You can just go based on their information, like, oh, it's a 15-year-old unit, could fail anytime, could last another 15 years, but it could fail tomorrow. I mean, it's just one of those things. So home warranty is a really good option. And the nice thing about that is you can pay for it or the seller can pay for it. It's whatever you guys come to an agreement on. So if you wanted to have a home warranty, you'd click on the name, you'd go check out their brochure, which is going to be right here. Okay, it's right on their profile. Sorry, I kind of went through that fast, but it's on their profile and it gives you all of their pricing and coverage options, so you can determine which one's best for you. Let's say you want $1,000 home warranty policy, and by the way, the policy doesn't cover only $1,000. It's just that's how much that policy costs. Okay, it may cover a lot more than that. And then who will pay for it, right? So maybe you want the seller to pay for it. In this instance, I'm going to just do mock. I'm sorry, I'm going to do no home warranty just because it's easier to get through this process, show you guys. So I've entered all my information in the fields. I've picked all my vendors, and see contract preview is the next step. So now you actually see your offer on the contract that's going to be sent to you and the buyer to sign. Okay, so this is actually the contract you're going to be signing. So read through it, familiarize yourself with stuff. If you have questions, reach out to us. We have an email, a phone line. You can even reach out to us through the site. So don't hesitate to call us or email us. We are always available, during regular working hours to answer phones and to email back. So you get through this contract preview and then you move on to funds. Now, good news is I have a $1 billion budget, so I can buy anything I want. Obviously, this doesn't actually go through. I'm not going to let this offer become accepted. But it's a $1 billion budget for me. Maybe you have a $500,000 budget, or maybe you need a loan. And in the funds section here, you will have the option to either upload a proof of funds or upload a pre-approval or get pre-approved by a lender. And you can choose from our lenders, our trusted partners, or you can choose your own and provide their information, whatever you want to do. When you get to this point, you'll see what I'm talking about. And so once you've selected all that and you've chosen which, way you want to go here, you click submit, and now it kind of puts your offer into an easy to read um, stacked section here. So you can look back and say, yep, I offered 470,000. They're going to replace the roof. This is what I'm offering. And you can see your partners, your selected partners here. So as a seller, this is what I would see. I would see that I received an offer. Here it is on my listing that I'm managing this offer now. I can see what they've offered here, just like it looks exactly the same. This is what the buyer saw. This is what I'm seeing as the seller. Okay, so I've switched roles here. I'm no longer the buyer, now I'm the seller, and I'm looking at the offer that's just come in. I see their selected title partners, insurance company and inspection company. And, as a seller, I don't know, they're offering about $19,000 less than what I'm asking for it, but they also want me to replace the roof. Maybe I'll make a counter offer. You don't have to accept or reject the offer. You can go back and counter. You can negotiate. We've given you the tools to negotiate here. So let's say maybe I want to list it at 490. I'm sorry, I want to counter offer 490, but I'm still willing to replace the roof. Okay, so a little bit more than I'm asking, $1,000, but I'll replace the roof, which is going to cost me a lot of money. See contract preview, and then of course submit. So now I'm flipping roles. And by the way, this shows the initial offer and the seller's updated proposal. So now I'm switching roles back to the buyer. I've been notified, hey, come back to the site. You have an offer. And as the buyer, I see that the seller countered my offer. And here it is. It kind of shows it right here, but you can go into manage offer and you can see the whole thing laid out. And as the buyer, I say, you know what? I really want this house, and he's willing to replace the roof. That's awesome. This is going to be a really good fit for me. I'm happy to accept it at 490. And then I would accept. I would click accept offer right here. Okay, so now we've come to an agreement. Buyer and seller sign the contracts. Now it's under contract. Okay, so an admin will come in. We'll see that there's been accepted offers, and we will come in here and make sure, oops, that's not the one. Okay, so here we see that this offer's been accepted. They've buyer and seller both signed the contract. We move it to transactions. And once we move it to transactions, all of the buyers and sellers, I'm sorry, the buyers and sellers are notified, but all of the trusted partners are notified. So the inspector gets to work making, setting a time frame to come over and inspect the home. The title company gets to work on, making sure the title's clear and free of clouds. And then, of course, the insurance companies are going to get to work. So at that point, you are officially under contract and you can track your progress in your transactions tab. So you go to your dashboard, click on your transactions tile, and you can go down and see that you are under contract. So you come in here, you can see, where the title company is. Of course, they just received it. So contract received rather. So they have a ways to go. Offer summary. And am I still here? No, I see. 1 second. Oh, it went in as the admin. So as the buyer, you can see, here we go, that there's the transaction progress. If you wanted to submit a cancellation during your inspection period, you do that right here. And so you can request for assistance here. Like I said, you can request right through the platform, and we will reach out to you and ask you what you need, help you through any processes that you're unsure of. There's the proposal. You can always look back on the proposal here. You can check your documents here. So, your contract would be uploaded here. Any identity that you sign would be here. And then here is where I'm not going to get into this because it's it's like a whole nother 15, 20 minutes. And I want to show you the seller side. I want my sellers in here to see how the seller side works real quick. But this is where you would make requests for repairs or concessions after the inspection report. Okay, so you just come in here. Of course, there's no inspection report uploaded because we just went under contract. But when it is in here, you can select from it. You can pull actual pictures from it, sections of it, and make requests to the sellers directly to repair or to offer some sort of concession or request a specific concession at closing. And then the seller gets that request. They either approve, reject, or counteroffer. And you come to an agreement that way as well. Okay, so Moving on to, and this process just goes on. You get a phone call eventually from the title company saying, "Hey, we're good to go." The lender says, "Hey, yep, we're good to go too. You guys ready to close?" And then you close on the home. It's that simple. So moving on to for the sellers, if you are interested in selling your home, you would click this little button here that says "List my home today." Got the home page. Okay, and this is super easy. By the way, this is only going to take a couple minutes. Um, this is probably, and by the way, the buyer's thing is easy too. Making an offer, it's just I talked through all of it. If I wasn't talking, it would have taken you probably 5 minutes. Um, and same with this, listing your home. So, by the way, we only transact buying and selling in single family homes, half duplexes, and townhomes. Okay, we don't do multifamily, we don't do vacant land, and we don't do condos or commercial. The reason being is they're just a little too complicated for this system. Maybe one day. But right now we're just transacting in these types. But a single family home is pretty much what most people are looking for. So you click which type of residence you're looking for, property style. And then the next question is, are you already under contract with a listing agent or brokerage? If you're already listed with an agent to sell your home, you cannot list with another agent or another brokerage. You can't even do for sale by owner. You're bound to that brokerage. So if the answer is yes, you are already under contract, unfortunately, you will have to cancel that contract. And you can do that by just sending an email saying, I'd like to cancel my contract. And sometimes they'll give you a hard time and ask you for a cancellation fee or whatever. But point is unfortunately, you do have to be out of contract with another brokerage to list with us. Okay, so the answer must be no here. And then you click next. And then you put in an address. And I'm just going to make one up here. This is going to be the address you want to list. Okay. And then you get to a question here that says, who will accompany buyers during showings? Now, as a seller, you have all the right in the world to be there during the showings. When a buyer walks through your home, you do have the right to be there, show them the home. But I will tell you, I've been in this business for over a decade. It can be a little bit awkward for buyers to go into a home when the seller's present. It's not because they don't like you. It's not because they're trying to steal your stuff. It's just because you're walking into someone's home that you don't know. And that's their domain. You don't want to be stepping on these people's toes. You don't want to open up a door that you know, maybe it's something behind that door that the seller doesn't want you to see. And you kind of feel like, I don't know, should I open this door? It's closed. Um, Also, some people just aren't cut out to show their own homes, and that's nothing. I'm not like saying that's a bad thing. It's just personality. There's different personality types. And if you have a very high energy personality type and you're really, really friendly, naturally, then maybe it's okay. But if you're just a little bit more reserved, and by the way, I have to fake that I'm outgoing when I'm meeting with new people. Like I'm naturally a very reserved person. So if you can't fake it really well and you haven't developed that, I would say that skill set, then maybe you just allow an agent to show the home. Okay. Don't be there. Just step out during the showing so that it can feel a little bit more comforting to the buyer. But again, it's up to you. Okay. This is your listing. You're in control of everything you do on this platform. So let's say you choose that that you will hire, I'm sorry, that you won't hire, but you would like a HOYO team member to be present, then a professional real estate licensed agent, realtor, I'm just saying all the things you could possibly say about a real estate agent here, will be present as a door opener. Okay. They're not going to be there to try to sell the house or anything. They're just there to make sure the house is locked when the buyers leave and that the buyers aren't rummaging through your stuff or anything like that. All right. So, uh, here's where you're going to list your home. If you're unsure of what you want to list it for, you click this little request home valuation button. You can still put in a price point. You can change the price later. It's not a big deal. So let's say you're like, well, I think my house is worth about 500,000, but I'm really not sure. I still want to see what an expert says. You just click this little button here. You put in whatever price you want and just keep on moving forward. Now let's say you want to know how much all the fees are going to be and what you're going to walk away with. I want to know what's going to go into my bank account when I sell my house. Well, you click this little green button here that says view an estimate of the seller net sheet. And basically it breaks down all the fees. These are averages, so it's not going to be exact. This does say estimated, but it's going to be pretty close. And let's say, of course you need to know what your property taxes are, but let's say they're 4,500 a year, which would be nice. And then let's say your HOA is $100 a month. Okay, so you type in $100 here and how often they're paid right here. And then did you already pay them? Yes, probably. So it breaks all these fees down, including the commission to HOYO. And from a $500,000 sale, you're going to walk with $480,000 approximately. Now, if you wanted to compare this with listing with another agent, just ask another agent to provide you a seller net sheet. It's not going to look like this. It's going to look a lot worse. So this is really healthy, really attractive for a lot of sellers. And then you put in your bed count and your bathroom count, and you move on, right? So obviously, I talked through a lot of this. It took me like 5 to 6 minutes just to throw in some very basic information. But you click next, and this is my favorite part. A lot of people struggle with writing a description about their home. I mean, I've struggled. Again, I've been doing this for a decade, and I've struggled with writing property descriptions when uh, creating a listing. And so now we've made it very, very simple for you. Just add in some key features of your home, right? So three, oh, maybe it's a 3 bed, 2 bath home in Chickasaw Woods. Um, it has a pool, right? And you could just be so, you know, bland. Like it's okay to just write very factual, uh, you know, um, information here. You don't have to be all like pizzazz and stuff because we have a tool here that'll do that for you. So, let's say screen, patio, new paint on outside of house, 2-car garage, big living room, something like that, right? And then you click this little AI rewrite button, and it takes what you've written and it spits out a really nicely written description of the home. So you don't have to worry. And by the way, read through this. Don't just take it for what it says and say, okay, yep, this looks good. Just going to scan through this and go. Please read through it because it can be wrong. Even though you put the information in there, sometimes it takes something weird. Like I remember a while back, I was doing this, and AI is learning, but I did this a while back, and for some reason, oh, look, it did it again, actually, right here. Cozy evenings by the fireplace. There's no fireplace in this home, so I don't know where it got that from. I don't know if a listing, maybe because it's not, I made up the address, so it's kind of making up things about the house. But if I put a real address in there, it would have taken information from previous listings, and it's definitely more accurate when it's a real property. But the point is you still want to check it, okay? And you can change whatever it says. If you don't like what it says, you can go in here and edit it, or just delete it. No big deal. So moving on from that, here are 4 other. As a seller, you have some options here for um, vendors. Number one is a photographer. And by the way, most of these are optional. The only one that is not is a title company. Uh, but photographer is optional. But I do want to emphasize how important it is that you hire a photographer. It's not that expensive. They're professionals. They're gonna showcase your home in the best light possible. You may think you're a professional on your iPhone or on your Android, but I'm here to tell you, you're probably not. And that's nothing, I'm not trying to dig at you or anything. It's just the truth. I can't tell you how many listings, even professional listings by agents who have used cell phone photos and they do the home no justice. I've seen those homes sit on the market because those photos are so terrible. Um, just check it out. I mean, worst case scenario, click on their link, contact them and ask them what it's going to cost. You know what I mean? Like just, call them and say, "Hey, I really want to hire a photographer, but I'm just not sure what it costs." Look it up, whatever. Choose one. You don't have to use them at the end of the day. Choose one. When you get through the process and you learn what their fees are, you're not like forced to go with them. Um, so anyway, definitely hire a photographer. I'm going to choose mock here because again, I have these options as a I'm doing a demo, so I see mock photographer. Obviously, you would not see mock photographer on your screen when you do this. So title company again, I will tell you that title companies are different from each other for sure, but it's really more in the services and like I would say more of the customer service that they provide you. All right. Some of them are very, very personable and really friendly. Some of them are a little bit more reserved, but they all do such a fantastic job. They're going to do a great job for you. Anyone we've partnered with, I've worked with personally over the years, and they're just all fantastic. So you're really not going to go wrong checking one of ours, but you can always choose that you have your own preferred title company. It's perfectly fine. Staging. So if you have a vacant listing, maybe you have a second home, or you've already moved into your new home and the home that you're selling is vacant, staging can be very, very helpful. It is a little pricey. It's an upfront cost. Some of them will take payment at closing, so you can try to talk to them about that. Some of them won't. But the point is, if you have a vacant home, they oftentimes look smaller. They're not as attractive to buyers. So it's nice to get some furniture in there, and staging companies can do that for you. Okay, and then moving on to inspection company, this is optional too, but if you're listing your home and maybe you've lived in it for quite a while and things have gone wrong here and there over the years, and you really can't even keep up. You don't really even know. And by the way, you may not even know of other problems that are going on that insurance companies may have changed their policies on since you've owned your home. There's been several things that have changed over the years, one of them being aluminum wiring and how to rectify that, and even being allowed in homes. So if you lived in a home for 25, 30 years and it's got aluminum wiring and your insurance company didn't know about it for a long time or didn't really care about it, well, when a new buyer comes in and buys it, that's going to pop up and they're going to be like, oh, red flag, you got to get that fixed. Stuff like that, right? There's all kinds of things, polybutylene plumbing, roofs being a certain age, or really more, not so much the age, but the, life expectancy. So, and then of course, flooding, if you're in a flood zone or not, all that fun stuff. So an inspection company can come out, they can inspect the home before you list it. You can be aware of the problems and you can do one of two things. You can either repair those issues or you can disclose those issues. And you may be thinking, well, I don't want to tell a potential buyer that my house has all these problems. Well, they're going to find out anyway. They're going to hire an inspector and they're going to find those problems anyway. It's worse for them to find it on their own because then they have leverage to renegotiate. If you disclose it up front and they make an offer based on that information, they're not going to come back later and be like, oh, well, guess what we found out? You're going to be like, no, you didn't just find that out. I disclosed all this to you prior to accepting an offer with you. Um, so it gives them less of a leg to stand on at that point. So again, it's recommended. It's definitely not mandatory. Again, it's optional, but I do highly recommend hiring an inspector. Okay, so you filled out these fields, click next. Again, this would have gone, you would have been done with this in literally 3 minutes if I wasn't talking. Very simple. But the next slide is just your phone number, which we probably already have, and then the additional buyers. And again, I'm sorry, sellers. And my wife would be an additional seller because she also owns the home. And by the way, um, wow, just misspelled my wife's name. She'd kill me for that. Um, so, by the way, everybody that owns the house has to be in an agreement that we're selling the house. Okay. It can't just be one person's like, I want to sell it, so we're going to sell it. And the other one's like, no, sorry, but that cannot be sold unless all parties, all owners of the home are on board. Okay. So then you click next and it's going to show you a summary of what you've put in here and make sure everything's correct. You want to select this box here that you've made sure everything's correct. And then you will select whether you want to list today, basically. Not today. It won't be today, but it'll be very soon. Or maybe you want to list in like 2 or 3 weeks, or maybe a month, whatever. And then you click submit. Okay. Oh, of course, it's already selected. So what will happen is because I've already used this address, let me just go back to here. Just change the number real quick. Okay. So I'll show you what it looks like when you've submitted it for listing. It pops up that our team is reviewing the request. We'll be in touch with you. We'll send you a listing agreement. Okay. So basically what's going to happen is we're going to reach out to you. We're going to let you know, hey, I saw that you want to list with us. Can't wait to get you on the MLS, get you out there and marketed. I want to see, number one, are you interested in filling out all of the property details on your own? If so, we're going to go ahead and send this back to you. You're going to do some property detail submissions while the photographer comes out, while the inspectors come out, and all that gets done. You'll be filling out property detail information, which can be kind of time consuming. Or if you want, and this is totally optional, you can hire us to come out. A team member from HOYO will come out and we will do the details for you. We will give you some light staging advice and some curb appeal advice prior to the photographers coming out. Okay. And, we're talking like things like decluttering and maybe some mulch in the front yard, like light stuff, right? Nothing crazy. And that's $99 to have us come out. Again, it's totally up to you. You don't have to do that. You can just do it all on your own. We like to give you guys full control with us being there for you if you need us, right? So we're kind of just sitting back, waiting and like, hey, look, if you need our help, we'll guide you. Otherwise, this is you. This is all you guys. You guys take control of the situation. You're totally in control of your transaction. You see everything that happens because you're the ones doing it all. And so once we get all that information back from you, you've got the photos now, they're all uploaded, and the inspection's done or whatever, staging. We get that information back. We do one last quick review of it, and then you're listed. You go active on the market. So you go on the MLS, you go on Zillow, Trulia, Realtor.com, our website. You go on all the major search platforms out there, like just like you would if you listed with an agent, except you're paying less than half of the price as a seller. Okay. So before I let you guys go, that's pretty much, I just want to remind you that signing up is free. Get on there, register. It's just going to ask you for your name, phone number, email, very simple stuff. We never ask you for your credit card information or any personal information like that. But get on there and sign up. And when you do, we'll reach out to you and offer you a one-on-one with me. If you're interested, I'm happy to sit with you. We'll take like 15, 20 minutes and show you, whatever you're looking to do on the site. I can show you how to do it if you have any questions, or you just get on there and do it yourself because you're just a little bit maybe more tech savvy or more comfortable doing it yourself. That's fine too. So thank you guys for being here. If you have any questions at all, please email us. Our email is on the platform, but otherwise, you can write it down. It is support@hoyonow.com. We are happy to respond. We're even happy to take a phone call. If you have any questions, you can just call the number on the website and we will answer for you during regular business hours. We are Eastern Standard. So between 8 and 7 p.m., 8 a.m., 7 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, Monday through Friday, we're available for you. And Saturdays, basically the same hours, but 9 to 6. Okay, so just about an hour shorter, 2 hours shorter in the day. So thanks again for being here, guys. I'm so happy that you showed up and learned a little bit about HOYOnow.com. And hope to see you on there. Hope to get you guys making offers and selling your homes here soon. All right. And take care.